أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I sincerely welcome you to our second year of Nahjul Balagha, the path of eloquence, this amazing compilation of the sermons, letters and maxims of the commander of the faithful Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Last year we examined sermon number 1, which spoke about the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the attributes of God, the creation of the universe. We also examined how the Imam alayhi salam gives us a scientific understanding of what happened when God created space. We examined the creation of the angels, prophets, how Adam was created, how his progeny multiplied. That's something that we examined in sermon number 1. Then we examined sermon number 3, which is the Shiqshaqiyya sermon. It's a very important sermon in which the Imam alayhi salam highlighted the injustices that he witnessed after the departure of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He spoke of the people of Jamal and the fitna, the chaos that they caused, then the battle of Siffin, then the whole incident that happened with the Khawarij. This was Al-Shiqshaqiyya sermon. This year we will examine the 4th sermon in Nahjul Balagha. We do have a book for this class. It's the same book from last year, for those who do have the book from last year, Nahjul Balagha, volume number 1. It has the Arabic text along with the English translation, and we also have a commentary in it as well. If you do not have the book, simply email us with your address and we will ship the book to you, inshallah. Or you can come here to the institute and pick up the book. So we will examine sermon number 4. Now in this version of the book that you have, because we have 2 versions and they're slightly different. In this version that you have, what page is it on? 109. 109. So sermon number 4 starts on page 109. You might have a slightly different version that you could be using. Just go to sermon number 4 to follow with this amazing sermon by Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. What's really amazing about Nahjul Balagha is that the Imam delivers us amazing content in eloquence that's mesmerizing. For those who do not speak the Arabic language or you're not fluent in Arabic, we will try to examine some literary forms and tools that the Imam alayhi salam employs in Nahjul Balagha. In this first sermon, the Imam alayhi salam basically makes this fundamental point, that the Ahlulbayt, peace be upon them, are the vehicles for guidance. The Imam alayhi salam starts the sermon by stating, بِنَ اهْتَدَيْتُمْ فِي الظَّلْمَاءِ. Imagine these words being spoken by Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Let's try to dissect the words of the Imam to appreciate the eloquence in his words. So the Imam alayhi salam says, Bina, through us, the Ahlul Bayt, اهتديتم في الظلماء. Through us, the Ahlul Bayt, you were guided in ظلماء. What does ظلماء mean? Darkness. Now notice that the Imam uses the word ظلماء. He doesn't say ظلمة. ظلمة is darkness in Arabic. What's the difference between ظلماء and ظلمة? ظلماء comes on the weight of فعلاء in Arabic. Usually it describes a feminine object. Some examples. If I want to say this pen, for example, is black, what would I say in Arabic? Aswad. If my subject is masculine. But if my subject is feminine, what do I say in Arabic? Sawda. You use the form fa'la. Ahmar means what? For those who know Arabic, red. Now ahmar, is that masculine or feminine? That's masculine. If you want to make it feminine, hamra. So dhalma here is coming on this form. What is the Imam describing? Dhalma is a night that's dark. Laylatun dhalma. It's assumed in the speech of the Imam. That's how Arabic eloquence works. The Imam alayhi salam is giving vivid examples to those people, especially who lived in the deserts of Arabia. Have you seen the darkness of the night? How dark it is? The Imam says, through us, the Ahlulbayt, you were guided in the dark night. فِي اللَّيْلَةِ الظَّلْمَاءِ. It's just fascinating, the word choice of the Imam alayhi salam. He's not just saying any darkness, a night that is dark. Now, Layla in Arabic is feminine. Linguistically, it's a feminine word, because in Arabic you have masculine words and you have feminine words. بِنَ اهْتَدَيْتُمْ فِي الظَّلْمَاءِ. So the Imam alayhi salam is saying that Allah delivered guidance to humanity through us, the Ahlul Bayt. Question here, is this an extreme statement to say? Some Muslims might find this troubling. They say, we appreciate the Ahlul Bayt, they do have an amazing role, but for you to say that God guided all of humanity and all of Muslims through the Ahlul Bayt, that's a pretty extreme statement to make there. So is the Imam exaggerating when he says that? What is the position of the Quran and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Let's examine two quick hadiths that verify the Ahlul Bayt are only the source of guidance. So you're familiar with hadith al-Thaqalain or Thaqalain. What does the Prophet ﷺ say in Sunni hadith and in Shia hadith? Meaning in Sunni sources and Shia sources. What does he say in hadith al-Thaqalain? I leave behind me two heavy things. The book of Allah and what? My companions? No. My teachings only, my sunnah, as some had tried to fabricate? No. My Ahlul Bayt, wa itrati Ahlul Bayti. So in reality, the Prophet is confirming that you can only be guided through the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt. So if Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam says, Allah guided you people through us, the Ahlul Bayt, you found your way out of darkness through us, is that an exaggeration? Or that's just a confirmation of what the Prophet said? That's one example. Another hadith is called the hadith of Safina, which a number of Sunni scholars have narrated. The hadith of the ark. Al-Hakim al-Naysaburi, for instance, he's a prominent Sunni scholar, he narrates this hadith. In this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, what does he say? He says, the likeness of my family, the Ahlul Bayt, is like the ark of Nuh. مثل أهل بيتي فيكم كسفينة نوح من ركبها نجا. The one who boards this ship, who's on this ship, rides this ship, will be saved. وَمَنْ تَخَلَّفَ عَنْهَا. And the one who does not go on this ship, what happens to him? They drown. They deviate and they drown. In reality, the Prophet in this hadith is saying what? He's saying that the only path to guidance is my Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them. So this is no exaggeration from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Yes, you will find a hadith that is usually cited. We find some Muslims citing this hadith. What does this hadith state? Ashabi kan nujum bi'ayyihim iqtadaytum ihtadaytum. Supposedly the Prophet said, my companions are like stars. Any one of them you take, you'll be guided. This is a false hadith, my dear brothers and sisters. In fact, Sunni scholars have demonstrated how this hadith is false. Not just Shia scholars. The Prophet never made such a statement. How do we know that? Not just the fact that the chain of the hadith is a fabricated chain, it's a weak chain. The content of this hadith directly contradicts the Holy Quran. Why does it contradict the Quran?
It should be one path.
Well, it should be one path, but the argument could be that all the companions take you to that path. That could be the argument. Exactly. The Quran is very clear that you have two types of companions. Some who are hypocrites They were enemies of the Prophet. Some who wanted dunya. Some who disobeyed the Prophet. They angered Allah. They fell back on their heels. And some were good. When the Qur'an's position is very clear that you have two types of companions, how is it logically possible that the Prophet says follow any companion and they'll guide you? That's impossible. That in itself is a hadith that violates the spirit of the Qur'an, and it clearly contradicts the Qur'an. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved this ummah through the Ahlulbayt because they were the only ones qualified to give you pure guidance. They were infallibles. We can trust that they never made a mistake. That's not something that applies to any of the other companions. And number two, they inherited the knowledge of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With these two qualities, they were fit to lead. If you want the source of guidance, go to them. Go to their teachings. Yes, other companions did have some knowledge here and there, but they never represented the full truth. Only the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, represented the full truth. So the Imam alayhi salam is saying, through us Allah guided you. Let's look at the next statement. In the next statement, the Imam says, وَتَسَنَّمْتُمْ ذِرْوَةَ الْعَلْيَاءِ وَتَسَنَّمْتُمْ ذِرْوَةَ الْعَلْيَاءِ. The word tasannama is a very interesting word in Arabic. It comes from sanam al-ibil. Anyone knows what sanam al-ibil is? Yes, the hump of the camel. That highest point of the camel where people would ride. This is called sanam al-ibil. In Arabic, if you want to give the expression that someone is riding high, he's going somewhere high, he's ascending, he's elevating, you would say tasannama, he's going high, he's ascending. وَتَسَنَّمْتُمْ ذِرْوَةَ الْعَلْيَاءِ. And through us, you basically secured a high position. Aliya is on the same weight of dhalma. Realize the poetic flow in the words of Imam Ali? Dhalma, aliya, it's the same weight. Now what does aliya mean? We have these names, right? Some sisters, their name is aliya. What is it? It's a feminine name. Because the word is feminine. What does it mean? What does it come from? Which root word? Ulu, Ali. When something is high, you would say it's Ali. So aliya means high ranks. Through us, the Ahlul Bayt, Allah elevated you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you high ranks. In the third statement, the Imam alayhi salam says, وَبِنَا إِنْفَجَرْتُمْ, according to one version. Another version says, أَفْجَرْتُمْ. وَبِنَا إِنْفَجَرْتُمْ عَنِ السِّرَارِ. The word infajara or afjara comes from the word fajr. What does fajr mean? Linguistically, it means to burst. But the meaning that you're familiar with is what? Fajr.
Morning.
Morning. Which part of the morning? Daybreak. Right? Dawn. Why is dawn called fajr in Arabic?
Because it distinguishes comes out of the night first.
See, in the past, today we can no longer see that in the horizon. In the past, if you want to identify the time of Fajr, you look at the horizon towards the east, it's pitch black darkness. And then suddenly you see a white light spreading in the horizon, horizontally spreading, and basically it breaks that darkness. It bursts into that darkness. That's why Fajr is called Fajr. Because you have a burst of white light in the midst of blackness and darkness. That's the original or the origin of the word Fajr. So the Imam alayhi salam says, through us, Allah delivered you to daybreak. From what? An sirar. Sirar in Arabic means what? Sirar in Arabic are those nights that are found at the end of the lunar month. So day 28, day 29, night 28, night 20, 28, 29, and 30. Those last 3 nights are called sirar in Arabic. What's unique about these 3 nights? In terms of visibility, there's no moon. So when do you find the darkest nights out of the month? In those nights. Because now, in the middle of the lunar month, you have the full moon. Towards the end of the month, where you are about to start a new moon, you no longer have at night that light that's coming from the moon. So these are the darkest nights. Now people who lived in the deserts, they knew this. Today you probably don't even know which part of the month are you. Because that's not, we have artificial light. We have city light. But in the past people would know this. So the Imam is telling them that this night, this heavy night of darkness ended through us, the Ahlulbayt. Allah gave you the dawn. So just imagine the poetic flow of the Imam alayhi salam. بنا اهتديتم في الظلماء وتسنمتم ذروة العلياء وبنا انفجرتم عن السرار. It's just, people when they would hear that, they would be mesmerized by the eloquence of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So the Imam alayhi salam, basically in this hadith he's saying people were in Jahiliyyah, in utter darkness, worshipping idols, having no morality. Through us, the Ahlul Bayt, starting with the Prophet ﷺ, Allah delivered you the light of guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took you to the highest peaks. Look at the Arabs. When the Prophet ﷺ delivered Islam to them, they were a bunch of nomads, fighting one another, away from the centers of learning and civilization. No one even took them seriously. The Persians were not interested in them, the Romans were not interested in them. Within 20 years, they became their own civilization. Imam Ali says, how did that happen? Who gave Islam its rise? It's us, the Ahlul Bayt. It's the Prophet and Imam Ali alayhi salam, through their sacrifices. So the Imam kept reminding the people because the people would actually forget that. Then let's go to the second part of the speech of the Imam alayhi salam. The Imam alayhi salam here, in the second part of his speech, he says, وَقِرَ سَمْعٌ لَمْ يَفْقَهِ الْوَاعِيَ. Look at the word وُقِرَ. What does the word وُقِرَ mean? وَفِي آذَانِهِمْ وَقْرٌ, as the Quran states. Waqr in Arabic is that heaviness in your hearing. If you cannot hear or you have trouble hearing, it's called waqr. It's heaviness in your hearing. You cannot hear properly. Either the person is deaf or almost deaf. وُقِرَ سَمْعٌ لَمْ يَفْقَهِ الْوَاعِيَ. Wa'iya is a loud call. A very loud call. In Arabic, we call it wa'iya because it awakens you. It draws your attention. Now, if someone cannot hear a loud call, what would you say about their hearing? They're deaf or they're almost deaf. The Imam alayhi salam says, look at the path of guidance. Allah clearly appointed Ahlul Bayt to lead this ummah, but people are deaf to that. They cannot hear that. They've abandoned their relationship towards the Ahlul Bayt. They've abandoned the truth. Now someone could object to the Imam alayhi salam and say, well, why? Why are people abandoning you? Maybe you, Ali ibn Abi Talib, you are ineffective in your methods. And so many people abandon you. Until today, there are historians who blame the civil wars on Imam Ali. Imam Ali was an ineffective leader. He did not know how to unite people. As we examined last year in the Shiqshaqiyya sermon, we examined the chaos that happened in the Muslim Ummah, the thousands of people that were killed. There are historians until today who blame Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. Yes, he was a good man, he was knowledgeable, he was sincere, but he did not know how to rule. He caused all this mess, or he allowed it to happen. So the Imam is saying, you people are deaf to the truth. So someone could object to him, well, maybe you're not doing enough to show us the truth. Maybe you're not such an effective leader. The Imam has an answer for that. In the next statement, the Imam alayhi salam states, كَيْفَ يُرَاعِ النَّبْأَ مَنْ أَصَمَّتْهُ الصَّيْحَةِ. Beautiful description by the Imam. Nab'a in Arabic is a low sound. A sound that's very low. You can barely hear it. You really have to concentrate. It's like a whisper. The Imam alayhi salam says, the one who cannot hear the whisper, let's examine why. The Imam alayhi salam says, that person who's deaf, who cannot hear the whisper, can he hear the bigger call? The loud call? No. كيف يراعي النبأ من أصمته الصيحة. The Imam says, if you're deaf and you can't hear a loud call, are you expected to hear the whisper? It's a given that you're not going to hear the whisper. These people, they cannot hear the loud truth. You expect them to hear my words? What is the Imam saying here?
Maybe if they're not listening to the Prophet, then
Exactly. The Imam is saying we have Quran and we have the Prophet. Did people follow the Quran and the Prophet? Is there a call louder than the Quran? Louder than the Prophet? See what the people did to the Quran. See what the people did to the Prophet. They disobeyed him. They caused trouble in his life. And he was there. And he spoke to them. So why do you expect people to follow me and to hear my words when they've abandoned the Holy Quran? Look at the Quran and how it rebukes the companions. So examine the Quran and see how the Quran talks about those people whose hearts are deaf. They can't understand the word of the Quran. In fact, the Quran says there's a disease in their hearts. And when they would hear the verses of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would even increase them in their disease. Yes. One of the amazing powers and effects of the Quran is that if you're sincere and you open your heart to the Quran, Allah will increase you in guidance. But if there's a disease in your heart that you're not willing to treat, hearing the Quran takes you further away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would recite verses of the Quran. There was a segment in his community, they would be pushed away further from the path of Allah. Now, isn't the Quran a path of guidance, a book of guidance? Why does that happen? Why does that happen? Any ideas? How does the Quran make some people deviate when it's the book of guidance?
Did I mention about their hearts? If their hearts are closed, I forgot what verse it is.
Yeah, their hearts are closed, but why does it push them further away from the truth?
Maybe because they're so focused on the negative or the punishment side of things because of their deeds. Their conscious deep down, they know that they're in the wrong, so that's what they're seeing inside the Quran.
So they take the negative aspects of the Quran, which they think is negative. Of course, the Quran doesn't have any negative aspects. That's one perspective, yes.
People fear the truth and are afraid to admit they're wrong, and like that, you have to do that in order to have any guidance or to accept any form of healing.
Some people have a problem with the truth. So when they hear the truth, they get pushed away further. The Quran gives you the truth without sugarcoating it, as it is. Some people find that troubling. So when they hear verses of the Quran, instead of being guided, they get pushed further away because the truth is given to them and it's bitter for them. They don't like it. Had they not heard it, maybe they would not have been pushed away so much. That's one thing that happens with some people who close their hearts. And the best example that I can give you of how the Quran can make someone deviate is the lamp. If you, on a dark night, you use the lamp for a good cause, you have good intentions. There's a poor person in your neighborhood, you use that lamp to find your way to their house and to give them assistance. The lamp, because you had good intentions, the lamp helped you do something good. But if that lamp falls in the hands of a thief, what can they do with that lamp? They could use that same lamp, which shows you the way, which supposedly is there to guide you. They could use that lamp to break into someone's house, to harm someone, to harass someone. See, it's the same lamp. It depends who uses it. It's the same Quran, my dear brothers and sisters. 14 centuries we have the same Quran. Some people with good intentions, they benefit from it, and there are many evildoers in history who use the Quran for their evil agendas. That same Quran becomes the source of their deviation. And this happened with all religions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why, if one does not approach the Quran through the path of the Ahlulbayt, the Quran will push you away further from the truth. Verses of the Quran are very clear. زَادَتْهُمْ رِجْسًا إِلَىٰ رِجْسِهِمْ. Rijs in Arabic is spiritual najasa. We have najas. Let's say this water, there's blood in it, it becomes najas. We have rijs. What's rijs? Spiritual uncleanliness. The Quran says those who want hidayah and guidance, when they hear the Quran, when they read the Quran, Allah increases them in hidayah and guidance. But those people who have spiritual najasa, spiritual uncleanliness, they're not interested, they want their ways, they care about their desires and temptations. The Quran increases them in that rijs. The Quran increases them in that impurity. Because it gives them the truth and they turn away from the truth even further. So the Imam ﷺ says, look, don't blame me. If people are not following my words, why? You think they followed the Quran? When did they follow the Quran? They obeyed the Prophet ﷺ. In his lifetime they disobeyed him. After he departed they disobeyed him. So if the Quran, which is the stronger voice here, people did not obey, you expect them to obey me? Beautiful response from the Imam ﷺ. Any questions so far? Then the Imam says, yes, there are hearts fixed on the truth. رُبِطَ جَنَانٌ لَمْ يُفَارِقُهُ الْخَفَقَانِ. Have you heard of the word janan and jinan? The word jinan you should be familiar with. What's jinan? It's a name, right? We have janan and we have jinan. They're spelled identically the same, but with janan you have a fatha over here, which is like an A in English, and then with jinan you have a kasra. So jinan means what? Gardens. It's the plural of which word? Jannah. Jannah, jinan. What does janan mean with the fatha?
Crazy?
No, that's junoon. We'll examine that. See, the beauty of the Arabic language is all these words are interrelated. Janan means heart. All these words, they go back to the root word Jannah. Jannah. Jannah means something that's covered or concealed in Arabic. That's the root word. Concealed, covered. Now, the beauty of the Arabic language is you can make so many words from this root word. Jannah in paradise, heaven. Why is it called Jannah? What's being covered?
Everything by leaves.
Exactly. There are gardens and rivers flow beneath them. You've got these magnificent trees that cover, that act as a canopy there. They cover everything. So that's why from far, if you would look at the gardens of paradise, they're covered with trees. That's why they're called Jannah. They're being concealed and covered by trees. Okay. Now you have the majnoon, right? The one who's insane. What does that have to do with being covered or concealed? What's being covered? Their brain, their intellect. Well, not their physical brain, but their intellect, right? Their sanity. The majnoon is the one who there is a cover on his intellect. So he is insane. Okay, some more. We also have the word janeen. Fetus. Fetus is janeen. Why do we call the fetus janeen? It's concealed in the womb of the mother, right? You see all these words? We have the ins, humans. We have the jinn. Who are the jinn? This other creation, right? Yeah. Do we see them? So they're concealed from us. That's why they're called jinn. So you have Jannah, you have Majnoon, you have Janeen. Now you have a word that Imam Ali says, Janan. Janan in Arabic means heart. What do you think, why do you think the heart in Arabic is related to the word being concealed?
Because you don't know.
Well, physically, yes, your heart is concealed. Like, you don't see people's hearts, right? But more than that, exactly, you don't know their intentions and feelings. One reason why the heart in Arabic is called Janan is because you cannot really see the intentions of people, their real feelings. They can hide that, they can conceal it from you. So it's called janan. It all goes back to this root word, jannah. So the word janan in Arabic means heart. The Imam alayhi salam says, رُبِطَ جَنَانٌ لَمْ يُفَارِقُهُ الْخَفَقَانِ. The Imam alayhi salam says, those hearts that truly fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may they be fixed. Rabata is to tie something, to fix something. The Imam is actually praying for the believers who have this attribute of fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does khafaqan mean in Arabic? It means anxiety, trembling. But it means fear, because when someone is in a state of fear, they might tremble. The Imam says one of the qualities of the believers is that they're always in the state of fear. لَمْ يُفَارِقْهُ. The heart of a believer is never free from fear. Very strong statement, right? The Imam says, may Allah stabilize these hearts, make these hearts firm. They recognize the truth and they accept it. Question, why the heart of a believer never is free from fear? How do we understand that?
Fear of God. You won't sin.
Fear of God, but what does fear of God mean though?
We always think about the after.
After
So one aspect of fear, you're always thinking of the afterlife. You're not safe with this materialistic world. See, for a lot of people, they feel safe with the money that they have. They feel safe with the power that they have and the position that they have. Right now, if someone gives you $10 million, would you feel safe?
Yeah.
You feel safe. Why do you feel safe? Why do you feel safe?
the money is the power.
Actually, you won't feel safe. Some people's life becomes dangerous.
Well, let's say you're not in Detroit. You're in somewhere safe.
Because the future is stabilized.
See, it's a natural human response. If someone right now gives you $10 million, you feel excited, obviously, but you feel safe. Because you think you have something that backs you up, something that supports you, something that will give you a good life. And that's the false mirage of this life. The Imam ﷺ says, a believer never feels safe with the money that they have or the position that they have. Because they know it's superficial, it's going to end, it's temporary. Okay, $10 million are yours right now. Then what? Then what? Can you guarantee the future? How long will you live? Maybe there's a disease, illness that this money cannot protect you from. And on the day you die, you have to give it up. So why feel safe with it? Because the minute you feel safe with it, you start wasting the opportunity to prepare for the akhirah. So the believer, even though he may have $10 million, but deep down in his heart, there's that element of fear, concern. Am I preparing for my akhirah? Am I doing that which is right? Never feel safe. Arrogant people, they feel safe with what they have. In the sense that, yes, I have this power, I have this position, I can do whatever I want. I feel safe with that. But the true believer has that element of fear. Yes.
When the person will reach that level where it says, "Ila anna awliya Allah la khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun." So how you?
Yes, the servants of Allah, as the Quran says, there's no fear or sadness surrounding them. They have no sorrow, no fear. What is that fear that's being negated from the friends of Allah, awliya Allah? Which kind of fear? First of all, the fear at the moment of death. The minute they die, Allah is telling them, you're in safe hands. The minute you die as a believer, have no fear, have no sadness. Allah will show you the result of your actions. So this is mainly applicable to the moment of death, yes. Their akhirah, their death, their barzakh, they have nothing to fear. That's number one. Number two, Allah's teaching the believers, be with me on my side and don't have any concerns. You will not fail.
So you fear no one but God.
So fear no one but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, once they know they're in God's camp, they have no fear. Even if the world turns against them, so what? Let it be. That's why Imam Hussein alayhi salam, even though he was outnumbered and overpowered physically, but the narrators, they describe his state. In fact, the narrator uses the word janan. He says, the narrator, I think it's Hamid ibn Muslim, one of the observers at Karbala, he says, never in my life have I seen someone who's lost his family members and he's outnumbered by his enemies, but he has such a firm heart. Arbatu jananan, or athbatu jananan, fixed in his heart, than Hussein ibn Ali. He had no fear on the day of Ashura. The companions of the Imam had no fear. Well, why? You're outnumbered. Because you know you're with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's another reason why awliya Allah, they should not have any sorrow. Because they do business with God. God never lets you down. Allah takes care of you. So that's one element of fear. Don't feel safe with this world. Number two, don't feel safe with your status. Never feel content with what you've achieved. Some people, if they observe their prayers, they may have given some donations and charity. Okay, alhamdulillah, I'm done in this life. I've done what I have to do. I feel safe. I am now a believer, mashallah. And if he prays the midnight prayer that night, khalas. He considers himself the top of the top. Never feel safe with your status. How do you know Allah is going to accept your deeds? How do you know you're not going to commit a sin that's going to destroy your deeds? See, the true believers, they have that concern. They never feel safe with their status. Like, it's never enough. I still should do more. They never reach a point where like, okay, I'm good enough now. That's really a concern that they have. That's the second dimension of fear. The third dimension of the fear in the hearts of the believers, it actually reflects their love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot have genuine love without fear. If you really love someone, what do you fear? Well, losing them, disappointing them, hurting them. True believers always fear losing their status with God. They always fear disappointing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one fear that they constantly have. So it's not the fear of God because you're afraid God is this being who's going to hurt you. No, that's not the object of their fear. And finally, the glory of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The amazing position and glory of God. Just knowing that He's the King of the universe, that in itself inspires fear in their hearts. Because fear is an indication of seriousness. You can never take something seriously without an element of fear. Have you seen people who go to their interview, like they've been waiting for, months for that interview, or sometimes even years? The day of their interview, they're anxious. Why are they anxious? Yeah, there's that fear of failing, but they take it seriously. It's such a valuable meeting. They take it seriously. Anxiety, of course, to a normal extent. Sometimes it gets excessive. To a normal extent is a good thing. It's an indication of seriousness. That's why with important events you have some anxiety. Even if it's an exciting event, like a wedding. Have you seen people? They kind of get anxious when their wedding date comes. Well, why? Because they take it seriously. They know it's an important event. Now imagine if you have a friend, today is his interview or his final examination. All those years of studies, they depend on this exam. If you see him waking up in the morning late, he's laughing, he's partying, right? And the interview is like an hour away, he's in a different world. What would you say about a person like that? Like, this person is not acting serious. An important event is ahead of him, and look at him, he's in a different mood. Because he's not showing any seriousness. So this fear that the Imam ﷺ is referring to in the hearts of the believers, it's actually a type of fear that indicates seriousness. The Imam says, those people, may Allah strengthen their hearts. Because when they hear the truth, they really accept it. Let's draw some lessons from these words of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. First of all, thank Allah for being guided. Never think that I was guided because, I am the one who actually made this accomplishment or achievement. It all goes back to me. The tools that you used to achieve guidance is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in reality, He put you on that path of guidance. Always thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, you make the effort, but in the end, He delivers guidance to you. And know that He used the Ahlulbayt to guide you. Without the Ahlulbayt, we could not have been guided.
Isn't it unfair that
That's a reality.
God I'm sorry, isn't it unfair that God guides some people and not the other people?
Is it fair that Allah guides some people and not others? Well, God doesn't randomly choose to guide whomever He wants. The intention has to come from your heart. When Allah sees your heart is worthy of being guided, because you have a good intention, because you've done something good in your life, Allah will guide you. But when Allah sees this heart is not a heart that really wants guidance, it's a heart that's more concerned about selfish desires, this person may not be guided. So there is something in you that Allah finds worthy that He gives you guidance.
So why did He create that guy if He knows he's going to hell anyway?
Well, this is of course a very lengthy discussion, but Allah wants to give every person a chance. You deserve that chance. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you the tools to save yourself. Yes, He knew this person will not save himself, but the system is a rational system. Let's say you're the principal of a school, right? You're the principal of a school. And you know that every year your students will graduate. You know 5% definitely will fail. You know that for sure. Would you still make the school? Why? You know some people will fail. See, the overall system is a wise system. Now those who failed, nobody imposed on them failure. You tried to help them, you brought private tutors for them. They don't care, they're not interested. That's their fault. But Allah gave them the opportunity. It's that opportunity that counts. Had Allah denied them the opportunity, then people would have objected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You didn't give everyone an equal opportunity. Yes, brother? Are we good with the recording?
I'm just reading.
Okay. Inshallah. We're good. You feel free to leave, inshallah. So thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance. And know that staying away from the Ahlul Bayt is darkness. Know their teachings. Take their teachings, mimic their behavior. Make Ahlul Bayt part of your life. Because they're the only path of guidance after the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another takeaway point from the words of the Imam alayhi salam, always be open to the truth. Always be open to the truth. Yes, you might think you're on the right path, or your ways are proper ways, or correct ways. Always be open to hearing the truth. I tell you from my personal experience, from people who, for instance, come for counseling, or they're struggling, you find that many times there is someone in the family, someone in their lives who's not open to the truth. Even with very simple things. Even with, parents who are not such successful parents. And someone talks to them and tells them, look, this is not the best way to raise your children. Try other ways. No, they're stubborn. They only are stuck on that way. Or some people, for instance, with music or with the hijab. I remember one person told me that those around them insisted that all types of music is halal and it's moral and it's fine. And that you're being an extreme person, you're being a boring person for not listening to music. And this was always a source of friction in the family. See, they're not open. Khalas, they believe that this is right, it's right. They're not open to the truth. Well, try to know the other argument. I told this person, have you tried to explain to them? It's like, they don't listen. The minute I try to explain to them why being addicted to music is bad, they don't listen. Khalas, they start making fun of me. You're a boring person. Or those who are addicted to drugs, or they start that path of addiction, they don't listen. They're not willing to hear the truth. No, they'll argue with you, this is not harmful for me. Trust me, I've done my research, it's not harmful. And you show them 1,000 studies that this is harmful. No, it's not harmful. This is all made up. They're not willing to hear the truth. It comes in all dimensions of our lives. The Imam alayhi salam teaches you, always be open to the truth. Hear the other side. Genuinely. Don't automatically prejudge everything you're being told. Give it some merit. Even the Quran, which is the source of the truth, tells the Prophet, tell the mushrikeen, maybe you're on the right path, maybe we're on the right path. Can you imagine the Quran saying a verse like that? In other words, the Prophet is saying, let's have an objective discussion. You might be on the right path, I might be on the right path. Let's figure out which is it. Look at the tone of the Holy Quran. So, the Imam alayhi salam, in this beautiful passage, he explains why the people rejected the Ahlulbayt after the Prophet. They did not find the courage to stand up to the oppressors, or they were jealous of the position of the Ahlulbayt, peace be upon them, and they allowed their hearts to be closed. If they cannot hear the voice of the Quran, you think they're going to hear the voice of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam? So it's a given that there will be people who will resist the words of Imam Ali. Then in this last passage, which we will conclude with, the Imam alayhi salam states, مَا زِلْتُ أَنْتَظِرُ بِكُمْ عَوَاقِبَ الْغَدْرِ. When did Imam Ali give this sermon? Historians state Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam gave this sermon after the battle of Jamal, when Zubayr and Talha were killed. This is when the Imam alayhi salam gave this sermon. And basically the Imam is saying, I am expecting you, O people, to betray me. I've always anticipated the consequences of your treachery. I knew you would deceive me. Don't think that you caught me by surprise. In other words, he's talking about the followers of Zubayr specifically and Talha. Because what happened, if you remember from Al-Shiqshaqiyya sermon, when Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib was chosen as the caliph in Medina, Zubayr and Talha, they came and they pledged him allegiance. Then Imam Ali wrote a letter to Muawiyah. He told him, look, all the companions unanimously chose me as the caliph, so you also pledge allegiance to me. What did Muawiyah do? Muawiyah immediately, instead of responding to Imam Ali, he wrote a letter to Zubayr. Zubayr is the cousin of Imam Ali. He wrote him a letter. He told him, Zubayr, you are a great leader. See how savvy Muawiyah was and how wicked he was. You're a great leader. I believe if you become the caliph in Basra and Kufa, this very important region, you have a great future. And I am the first one to give you bay'ah. See how he instigated him against Imam Ali? Zubayr received the letter from Muawiyah. He's like, he started believing in himself. Really? I really deserve this. Talha, what do you think? Muawiyah says he's pledging me allegiance and he thinks I'm fit for this job. See how the devil sometimes plays? When someone throws an idea, you're hesitant initially, but then your ego says, yes, take it. Take it. It's good for you. And that's what happened. So Zubayr said, okay. He came to Imam Ali alayhi salam. He told him, give me a position, appoint me as a governor. The Imam says, wait, be patient. Be content with what you have. I'm giving you your share from public funds like I give everyone else. Let me think about it. When the time comes, I'll see what I'll do with you. So the Imam didn't immediately grant him the power that he wanted. It's a trial. It's a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did Talha and Zubayr do? They told Imam Ali alayhi salam, we're going for Umrah. This was their way of starting that civil war against Imam Ali. The Imam says, okay, go. But the Imam commented, he said, they want to betray me. They don't want the Umrah. They want the ghadra, treachery. So they went for the Umrah, they mobilized the masses, and then the whole battle at Basra happened, the battle of Jamal. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib says, I knew this was all going to happen. Don't think I'm someone who's simple, someone who's naive. I saw all the signs of treachery. مَا زِلْتُ أَنْتَظِرُ بِكُمْ عَوَاقِبَ الْغَدْ. I see the consequences of your treachery. وَأَتَوَسَّمُكُمْ بِحِلْيَةِ الْمُغْتَرِّينَ. I see the signs of you people being deceived by this world. I can see it very well. The signs are all there. طيب, Ali ibn Abi Talib, if you knew all of this, why didn't you expose them? Why didn't you get up in Medina and imprison Talha and Zubayr and expose their intentions and expose the intentions of everyone? Why did you wait?
They didn't commit any sins or crime.
The Imam says, Satarani ankum jilbabuddin. Jilbab is garment. The Imam says, what stopped me from exposing you is the garment of religion. I am a man committed to my religion. And Allah teaches me not to expose. The Prophet ﷺ, how many times did he stand up and expose his companions? He normally did not do that. Why? Part of it is a trial. Allah wants to try us. But that's a lesson for every believer. Never expose others. Even if you know someone may not have the right intentions towards you, don't expose them. If something is kept a secret, don't expose it. Because when you expose it, first of all, you normalize that sin, that negative behavior. Because now it's public, everybody talks about it, it becomes normal. Number two, you further encourage that person to continue that negative path and negative lifestyle. Because when you're concealed, there's a chance you might change, right? Okay, people don't know. Allah satirni. God has concealed my negative habits. But if it's exposed and everyone knows, your friends know, your family members know, people in the community know, will you change? Chances are you're not going to change. Like, what's the point now? Everybody knows. That's why it's such a big crime in Islam to expose others. You're all familiar with the story of Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he left with Bani Israel in a year of severe drought, asking Allah for rain. Now this is a prophet of God. He raised his hands in dua, oh Allah, send down the rain. Jibreel comes to him, Musa, there is a man in your group, he's an imam. He spreads fitna in society. He goes and he tells this person that your friend is talking behind your back. And then he goes to the other person and he tells them the same thing. He creates disunity. As long as he's present here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to send the rain. So Musa, he got up and he said, look, I have to break it to you. There's someone here who's very sinful, and Allah informed me. Please get up and leave the gathering. Allah's not going to send the rain. Don't withhold the rain from others because of one person. Now that person was sitting there hearing. He knows himself. He figured, should I leave? Haram, all these guys, I'm going to deny them the water. Children are there, animals are there, men and women are there. But if I get up and leave, everybody will know I am that sinful person. I'll expose myself. So he fell into sujood and he begged Allah to conceal him. With tears, with a broken heart, he asked Allah to forgive him. Suddenly, the rain clouds gather, according to the hadith, and the rain starts coming down. Musa asked Jibreel, he told him, I didn't see anybody getting up. Nobody left. And you said he has to leave. Jibreel said Allah forgave him. He asked Allah to conceal him, and Allah concealed him. Musa told Jibreel, who is he? Tell me. Jibreel told him, Musa, when he was sinful, God didn't expose him. When he was sinful. Now that he repented, Allah, you expect Allah to expose him? Allah's not going to expose him. See the Imams of Ahlulbayt, even when they're enemies. Talha and Zubair, the Imam says, I did not expose them. I knew they were up to no good, but I still didn't expose them. See the rahmah that the Prophet and the Ahlulbayt have? How many hypocrite companions surrounded the Prophet? Did he ever expose them? Even his own wives that would put him to trouble. Allah exposed them, right? But not the Prophet. They conspired against him. Did the Prophet ever, do you have one sermon from the history of the Prophet where he goes in the masjid on the pulpit and says, oh companions, see what my wives are doing. My first wife did this, my second wife did that. Never. He never exposed anyone. Yes, Allah for a reason, sometimes He exposes certain people. He exposes their plots and conspiracies. But Imam Ali says, my style of governance is that I don't expose people. That's one way of understanding the statement, that the garment of religion is what stopped me from exposing them. There's a second way of understanding the phrase of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and this is fascinating. The Imam says, from the outside, they seemed religious people. They acted religious. They did not commit a crime yet. How can I punish them before they commit a crime? They took advantage of the garment of religion, and that's why I did not punish them. Look at the justice of Imam Ali. Which ruler does that in history? You know someone is plotting against you, but they haven't done anything yet, but you know they're plotting. Right now, today, if any country, if any government, if any king, if any ruler, he knows someone's plotting against him, what do? Kill him, execute him, jail him? Imam Ali would never do that. You still haven't done the crime. I know your bad intentions, but you still haven't committed the crime. From the outside, you're still looking religious, like Talha and Zubair. The Imam says, that's why I did not seek revenge from them. Because some people would tell Ali ibn Abi Talib, you're a failure. If you knew these people were bad, execute them before they even start all of this. The Imam says, no. I don't have permission from God to do that. They have not committed the crime yet. I can't punish them yet. Now, how did the Imam alayhi salam know that these people are going to betray him? And we end with this point. How did he know? Of course, the Imams have divine knowledge. The Prophet had already told him, but there's more to it than that. It's something that's applicable to all of us. وَبَصَّرَنِيكُمْ صِدْقُ النِّيَّةِ. What gave me the inner light, the basira, to see your treachery is my sincere intention. The Imam is teaching you, when you're sincere in your intention, Allah shows you the reality of what's happening around you. We have a number of hadiths about this. For instance, the Quran says, even before the hadiths, the Quran says, إِن تَتَّقُوا اللَّهَ, if you have true piety, يَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ فُرْقَانًا. In this hadith. If you truly have piety, Allah will give you furqan. What's furqan? The divide between good and bad, good and right. Allah, the good and evil, righteousness and the path of evil. Allah will give you that light to decipher between the two. You will see the reality of things. In another hadith, Al-Imam Al-Ridha alayhi salam was asked, how do you, the Imams of Ahlulbayt, know what's in the hearts of people? How do you know that? Because sometimes the Imams would really read the intentions of those people around them and they'd surprise them and shock them. He asked them, where do you get this knowledge from? The Imam alayhi salam, he said, haven't you heard the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alih, اتقوا فراسة المؤمن فإنه ينظر بنور الله. The Imam says, the Prophet says, beware of the savviness of the mu'min. Why? How is he savvy? How is he smart? Because he sees with the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah shows him. Don't think you can fool a believer. Sometimes the believer, out of his good akhlaq, may not show you. If you've tried to fool a believer and you think you fooled that person, I've known some people like that, they won't confront you with it. But don't think you fooled them. Allah lets them see that light. And then the Imam alayhi salam says, any mu'min, any believer who's pious, who has a sincere intention, Allah will show him the reality. There will be a point where it's almost as if you can read the intentions of people. It all comes back to sidq an-niyyah. How sincere are you in your heart? How sincere are you in your intentions? The more you're sincere with Allah, the more Allah will take care of you. So the believer, sometimes he sees people plotting, he's like, look, I don't have the manpower to keep up with all these plots. I don't have the savviness to sit and plot and plot and plot. There are some people who plot day and night against you. The mu'min have tawakkul on Allah, Allah will show you the plots. And so Imam Ali alayhi salam says, I could see all of that because of my sincere intentions. Allah showed it to me. And this is applicable to every believer. Any questions? So with that, we conclude this passage in the fourth sermon of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib. We will resume next week, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin.